Good day everyone, I'm Genevieve Binlux. In this video, I'm going to discuss about Chinese English. So, what is Chinese English? So, Chinese English, often abbreviated as CA, refers to the variety of English spoken or written by Chinese speakers, particularly those whose first language is Mandarin or another Chinese language. It encompasses linguistic features, vocabulary, syntax, and discourse patterns influenced by Chinese language and culture. This variety of English reflects the unique linguistic and cultural context of China, where English is used alongside or in conjunction with the Chinese languages. Based on the information, Chinese English or CE as a standard variety can be characterized by the following features across phonology, vocabulary or lexicon, sentence or syntax, text, and discourse. So let's tackle about Chinese English as a standard variety. Let's start with the phonology. Influence of Mandarin phonology. Chinese English may exhibit phonological features influenced by Mandarin Chinese, such as tones affecting intonations, patterns, and pronunciations of certain English sounds. For example, in Chinese English, Mandarin's influence on phonology is evident in the pronunciation of the English R sound, which may be pronounced with a slight retroflexion akin to Mandarin pronunciations affecting words like rat or rabbit. Next is vocabulary or lexicon. Loan words and calques. Chinese English incorporates vocabulary from Chinese languages, including loan words and calques, which are direct translations of Chinese expressions into English, or they translate their words either their language word by word, or they borrow their own language to add in the Chinese English. For example, in Chinese English, you might encounter terms like kung fu, borrowed from Chinese, or long time no see, which is calque from the Chinese phrase huzhou bijan. And next, neologisms. Chinese English may develop a new vocabulary to express uniquely Chinese concepts or phenomena reflecting the evolving cultural and social landscapes of China. For example, Chinese English may introduce terms like airpocalypse, a blend of air and apocalypse, used to describe severe air pollution in Chinese cities reflecting a unique cultural and environmental concern in China. So, next, let's tackle about sentence or syntax. Topic prominent structures, or Chinese English sentences may follow a topic prominent structure common in Chinese, where the topic of the sentence is emphasized and placed at the beginning. For example, from the information provided, an example could be, as for the weather, it's quite nice today, where the topic weather is emphasized at the beginning of the sentence because they want to give importance of the weather. The word wither, rather. Simplified syntax. Chinese English may exhibit simplified syntax influenced by Chinese language structures, such as omitting articles or using different word or order patterns. For example, she go market yesterday. Instead of she went to the market, she go market yesterday. Instead, she went to the market yesterday, reflecting simplified syntax influenced by Chinese language structures. So, text and discourse. Indirect communication. Chinese English discourse may employ indirect communication strategies common in Chinese culture, such as implicitness and indirectness and speech acts. For example, instead of directly refusing an invitation, someone might say, I'll see what my schedule looks like, implying a potential decline without explicitly saying no. So they want to be polite. Next is politeness strategies. Chinese English discourse may incorporate politeness strategies influenced by Chinese cultural norms, such as using honorifics or avoiding direct refusals. For example, in a business setting set, one might use honorifics like Mr. or Miss when addressing colleagues, or instead outright refusing a request, one might say I'll consider it, indicating a polite acknowledgement without committing definitively. Overall, Chinese English as a standard variety reflects the unique linguistic and cultural context of China, incorporating features from both English and Chinese languages to serve as a standardized form of English communication within the country. Next, let's discuss about features of Chinese English. Let's start with the phonetic or phonological features. Chinese English displays distinct pronunciation traits such as the merging of certain vowel sounds in challenges with certain English consonants. It also involves processes like adding the schwa sounds to unstressed syllables and difficulties in pronouncing certain English sounds. For example, an example of these pronunciation traits in Chinese English, as mentioned, is the merging of certain vowel sounds. For instance, Mandarin speakers might pronounce words like sheep and sit similarly due to the absence of clear distinction between the small I and the big I vowel sounds in Mandarin. Additionally, they may struggle with pronouncing English consonants like the th and th or ch, often substituting them with sounds more common in Mandarin. Let's tackle next the lexical features. In terms of vocabulary, Chinese English combines English and Chinese words, including transliterations, loan translations, and adapting English words to fit Chinese phonetics and cultures. For example, Chinese English combines English and Chinese words is through transliterations. For instance, shuji in Mandarin, which means mobile phone or cell phone, is transliterated into suji in Chinese English. This process involves adapting the pronunciations of the Chinese word to fit English phonetics while retaining its meaning. Let's tackle next the syntactic features. Chinese English exhibits unique sentence structures and word order influenced by Chinese grammar resulting in differences from standard English syntax. For example, in standard English, I am going to the school, I am going to the store. While Chinese English said I go store. So they only said the important word, so as long as they understand the meaning of the word. In this example, the word order in Chinese English follows a simpler structure without the auxiliary verb am and the preposition to, reflecting the influence of Chinese grammar, which often omits auxiliary verbs and prepositions in similar contexts. So let's start to discuss what is text and discourse. In text and discourse, Chinese English may display distinct rhetorical patterns, discourse markers, and communicative strategies influenced by the Chinese linguistic norms and cultural conventions. The use of discourse markers, sentence connectors, and rhetorical devices in Chinese English discourse may differ from those observed in standard English, reflecting the influence of Chinese discourse conventions. For example, in Chinese English discourse, speakers may frequently use discourse markers like so, well, or you know to signal transitions between ideas or to engage the listener. For instance, a speaker might say, so what I mean is, or well, in my opinion. So what I mean is, or well, in my opinion, this discourse marker serves to maintain coherence and convey the speaker's attitudes or stance, reflecting the influence of Chinese discourse conventions where such markers are commonly used for pragmatic purposes. What I learned from Chinese English. I learned about Chinese English word pronunciations, patterns, Chinese English loanwords, and rhetorical norms all contribute to the development of Chinese English, or CA, a possible standard variations of English. These elements influence its phonology, lexicon, syntax, and discourse techniques. I also learned the cultural background of Chinese English, which includes Chinese history and socio-political processes, has an impact on its establishment as recognized variety of English. It highlights I also learned the flexibility and adaptation of linguistic systems while reflecting Chinese English identity in global context. Chinese English I also learned that Chinese English offers multidisciplinary viewpoints in addition to linguistics, enabling contextualization within language policy, globalization, and intercultural communication. Understanding Chinese English linguistic characteristics, cultural importance, geopolitical background, and wider implications for linguistic variety and intercultural understanding are all important aspects of the journey. That's all for today's video. Thank you.